When Elvis Presley walked into the Oval Office on December 21, 1970, nobody expected what would happen next. The king of rock and roll wanted to become a federal narcotics agent. But what nobody knew, including President Nixon, was that Elvis was high on the very drugs he wanted to fight against. December 19, 1970, Graceland, Memphis, 11:47 p.m. The argument started over money. Elvis stood in the living room at Graceland, his face flushed with anger, pointing at his father Vernon. "You're telling me I can't access my own damn money?" Elvis's voice echoed through the mansion. Vernon, tired and worn, rubbed his face. "Son, last month alone you bought 14 cars. It's my money. I earned it." Elvis was pacing now, movements jerky, agitated. The pills he'd taken earlier were making everything feel more intense. 20 minutes later, Elvis came downstairs with a suitcase. "I'm leaving. Los Angeles, maybe New York, anywhere but here." Jerry Schilling and Sonny West scrambled to follow. When Elvis was in these moods, you didn't argue. You just tried to keep him safe. But what nobody knew was that this impulsive escape would lead to one of the strangest meetings in American history. December 20th, 1970, Los Angeles International Airport, 1:23 a.m. The private jet was being serviced. Elvis, still furious, paced the VIP lounge. "What's the next flight out?" Elvis demanded. "United Airlines to Washington, D.C. leaves in 90 minutes. Book it. 3 tickets, first class." "Washington?" "Boss, why?" "Because I said so." On the plane, Elvis couldn't sit still. His mind raced. The pills mixed with his natural intensity created a dangerous cocktail. He pulled out American Airlines stationery and started writing, "Dear Mr. President, I am Elvis Presley. I can and will be of any service to help the country out. I have done an in-depth study of drug abuse and communist brainwashing techniques. I am right in the middle of the whole thing where I can and will do the most good. I wish to be made a federal agent at large. I will help by doing it my way through my communications with people of all ages. I am staying at the Washington Hotel. I will be here for as long as it takes to get the credentials. Respectfully, Elvis Presley." The handwriting was shaky, the words wandering across the page, but to Elvis, it was perfect. December 20th, 1970, Washington, D.C., 6:47 a.m. They landed at dawn. Elvis hadn't slept at all. The Dexedrine kept him wired, convinced he was on an important mission. At the Washington Hotel, Elvis laid out his plan to Jerry and Sonny. "I'm going to the White House. I'm going to meet President Nixon, and I'm going to become a federal agent to fight drugs. Boss, the president doesn't just meet with people who show up. I'm Elvis Presley. That's all the protocol I need." Jerry tried again. "But why?" "Why do you want to be a federal agent?" Elvis's manic energy faded for a moment, replaced by something sadder. "Because I need to matter, Jerry. For 10 years, I've made stupid movies. The Beatles came along, and suddenly I'm old news. My wife left me. I need to do something real. Something that proves Elvis Presley is more than just an entertainer." The pills made everything feel more intense. Elvis wasn't thinking clearly, but he believed he was thinking more clearly than ever. "Hold on. What you're seeing now is nothing." December 20th, 1970, White House gates, 6:30 a.m. Elvis walked up to the White House gate at sunrise, wearing a purple velvet suit, cape, amber-tinted sunglasses, and enough jewelry to stock a pawn shop. He handed the guard his letter. "I need to see President Nixon. It's urgent." The guard stared. "Mr. Presley, you can't just—" "I'll wait." And he did. For nearly 2 hours, Elvis sat outside the White House gates, attracting crowds, signing autographs, posing for photos, the king of rock and roll, waiting to see the president. It was absurd. It was desperate. It was very, very Elvis. White House staff offices, 8:47 a.m. Bud Krogh, deputy counsel to the president, found Elvis's letter on his desk. He read it twice. This was strange. The rambling quality, the grandiose claims, but also potentially useful. Nixon's approval ratings were plummeting because of Vietnam. Elvis represented Middle America, patriotic, military service, traditional values. A photo with Elvis could help. Krogh took the letter to Chief of Staff H.R. Haldeman. Elvis Presley is outside. He wants to meet the president, says he wants to help fight drugs. Haldeman read the letter. Set it up. 5 minutes. Just a photo. The Oval Office, 12:31 p.m. The doors opened and Elvis Presley walked into the Oval Office. President Nixon's expression was priceless. Shock, confusion, barely suppressed amusement. Nothing could have prepared him for Elvis in that outfit. Mr. President, Elvis strode forward, hand extended. It's an honor, sir. Nixon shook his hand. Mr. Presley, this is unexpected. Please, sit. And then Elvis started talking, fast, pressured, jumping from topic to topic. Mr. President, I'm very concerned about the drug culture. The hippies, the communists, they're destroying our youth. The Beatles came to this country, made their money and promote drugs and anti-American sentiment. John Lennon should be deported. Nixon leaned back, studying this strange man. Elvis looked intense, sweating despite the cool office, hands shaking slightly. I can help, sir. I can go places you can't go. The counterculture doesn't trust the government, but they know me. I can be your eyes and ears. Nobody takes me seriously anymore. The kids think I'm their parents' music. But that's perfect. It means I can infiltrate without suspicion. This is where everything changed. Bud Krogh, watching from the side, had to suppress a smile. This was the most surreal Oval Office conversation ever. Mr. Presley, Nixon said carefully, how exactly would you help? Make me a federal agent at large. Give me credentials, a badge. That's all I need. I'll identify drug dealers, report back, help clean up America. Nixon glanced at Krogh. Why not? Give Elvis a meaningless badge, take a photo, send him away happy. I think we can arrange something, Nixon said. Elvis's face lit up like Christmas morning. Really? Thank you, sir. I promise I'll make a difference. Then Elvis reached into his jacket. Secret Service agents tensed. Elvis pulled out a Colt .45 pistol and placed it on the desk. A gift for you, sir. World War II vintage, from one patriot to another. The room froze. Elvis had brought a gun into the Oval Office. Mr. Presley, you brought a firearm into the White House? Elvis looked confused. It's a collectible. I thought you'd appreciate it. Nixon handled it smoothly. Very thoughtful. Though perhaps check with security next time. The meeting stretched to 30 minutes. Nixon found himself oddly charmed by this bizarre, over-medicated man who was so earnestly, desperately sincere. You won't believe this, but the photograph, 12:47 The White House photographer captured the moment. Elvis in his outrageous outfit, Nixon in his suit shaking hands, both men smiling. Click. That photograph would become the most requested image in the National Archives, more popular than the Constitution, more famous than moon landings. Nobody in that room could predict the irony would only deepen with time. Bureau of Narcotics, 1:45 p.m. They gave Elvis a badge, not real authority, just something official-looking. Bureau of Narcotics and Dangerous Drugs, eagle emblem, serial number. To Elvis, it was proof, validation, purpose. This is perfect, Elvis breathed, turning the badge over like a holy relic. This is exactly what I needed. He didn't notice the agents giving each other looks, the barely suppressed smirks. Graceland, December 23, 1970. Elvis showed everyone the badge, his father, the Memphis Mafia, his girlfriend. Anyone who would look. See this? President Nixon gave me this. I'm a federal agent now. I can fight drugs, help America. The reactions varied. Vernon was worried. The guys were skeptical. They knew about Elvis's pill use. But nobody had the courage to point out the obvious. Elvis Presley, fighting drugs while consuming a pharmacy's worth of prescription medications, was like an arsonist joining the fire department. January 1971. The badge becomes everything. Elvis carried that badge everywhere. He showed it to cops when pulled over, to airport security, to fans, to anyone. I'm a federal agent. I work for the president. One night in Las Vegas, a police officer pulled Elvis over for speeding, 90 miles per hour down the strip in his new Stutz Blackhawk. License and registration, sir. Elvis pulled out the badge instead. Officer, I'm on federal business. Bureau of Narcotics and Dangerous Drugs. I'm conducting surveillance on suspected drug dealers in the area. The officer examined the badge, then Elvis's dilated pupils, his sweating face, his shaking hands. Mr. Presley, are you feeling all right? Never better, just working hard to keep America safe. Elvis smiled, that famous smile, even as he gripped the steering wheel to stop his hands from trembling. You can call the White House to verify my credentials if you'd like. I met with President Nixon personally. The officer handed back the badge. That won't be necessary, sir. Just, please slow down. Even federal agents have to follow traffic laws. As Elvis drove away, the officer shook his head. Something wasn't right. But what could he do? It was Elvis Presley, and he had a badge from the president. Back at the hotel, Elvis showed Jerry the badge triumphantly. See? It works. That cop was about to cite me, but the badge changed everything. This thing is magic. Boss, Jerry said carefully, maybe you should actually slow down when you drive. Badge or no badge, you could hurt someone. I'm fine, Elvis snapped. Then softer. I'm fine, Jerry. I'm just tired. Got a lot on my mind. The weight of federal responsibility, you know? It's a heavy burden, fighting the drug war. Jerry watched Elvis take 3 pills from his pocket, didn't even check which ones, and swallow them dry. The irony was crushing. But the darkness was spreading faster than anyone realized. The pills kept increasing. Demerol for pain, Dilaudid for severe pain, Percodan for moderate pain, Dexedrine to stay awake, Quaaludes to relax, Placidil to sleep, Seconal for deep sleep, Valium for anxiety. The list went on and on. Dr. Nick prescribed most of them, but Elvis also had other doctors in other cities. None of them coordinated. None of them knew how much he was really taking. In February 1971, Linda Thompson, who would soon become Elvis's girlfriend, witnessed something that disturbed her deeply. She'd come to visit Elvis at Graceland and found him in his bedroom, sorting through dozens of pill bottles arranged on his bed like a pharmacist's inventory. Elvis, what is all this? My medicine, he said matter-of-factly, pointing to each bottle. This is for my back. This is for my insomnia. This is for my glaucoma. This is for my hypertension. This is for... But there's so many. I have a lot of medical conditions, Linda. Comes with the territory, years of performing, the stress, the injuries. He picked up the federal badge from his nightstand. But I'm managing it. I'm responsible. I'm a federal agent. I can't let drugs control me. I control them, she wanted to say. But Elvis, these are drugs. You're taking drugs while fighting drugs. But she didn't. Nobody did. Because Elvis would get angry, defensive. And when Elvis got angry, people got fired, relationships ended, doors closed. So she just nodded and watched and worried. I don't have a drug problem, Elvis would say if anyone questioned it. These are prescribed medications from licensed physicians. Drug addicts use heroin and cocaine off the streets. I have legitimate medical needs being addressed by professional doctors. The badge proved it, didn't it? How could a federal narcotics agent have a drug problem? The logic was circular, delusional, and completely sincere. 1971 to 1976. The spiral. Over the next 6 years, Elvis's health deteriorated. The badge went with him everywhere, displayed openly, used to get out of traffic stops, to skip security, to prove he wasn't an addict. March 1972. Elvis was performing in Las Vegas when he spotted someone in the audience he suspected was using drugs. Ironically, Elvis's drug radar was backwards, identifying normal people as addicts while missing his own addiction entirely. After the show, he had security bring the young man backstage. The kid, maybe 22, was terrified. Son, I'm a federal agent, Elvis said, pulling out the badge. The kid's eyes widened. I saw you in the audience tonight and I sensed something. Are you using drugs? No, sir. I mean, I had a beer at dinner, but I'm not talking about alcohol. I'm talking about narcotics, marijuana, pills, the stuff that's destroying our generation. No, Mr. Presley. I swear, I'm just a fan. I came to see you perform. Elvis studied him for a long moment, then nodded. Good. Keep it that way. Drugs will destroy your life, your dreams, everything you care about. I've seen it happen. I fight it every day. He paused, sweat beading on his forehead despite the air conditioning. As a federal agent, it's my duty to warn people, to protect them. After the kid left, confused and shaken, Jerry pulled Elvis aside. Boss, you can't just interrogate random audience members. Why not? I'm a federal agent. It's my job to identify drug users and warn them. Elvis. Jerry took a breath. That badge isn't real authority. You know that, right? It's honorary. You can't actually... It's real. Elvis's voice rose, his face flushing. President Nixon gave it to me personally, the President of the United States. Are you saying the President gave me a fake badge? I'm saying maybe you should focus on your own health first. Get out! Elvis threw a glass against the wall. It shattered. Get out of my dressing room! All of you, you don't understand what I'm trying to do. Nobody understands. Red West tried to intervene. Boss, the amount of pills you're taking, I need them. These are prescribed by doctors, licensed physicians, and as a federal agent working to fight drugs, I'm offended that you would compare my legitimate medical treatment to drug addiction. He pulled out the badge, waving it like a talisman, like proof of his righteousness. The Memphis Mafia guys looked at each other. They all saw it, the delusion, the denial, the tragic irony. But what could they do? He was Elvis Presley. He was the boss. He had a badge from the president. This is where the tragedy deepened into something darker. June 1974. Elvis was hospitalized after collapsing before a concert. The official statement said exhaustion. The reality was drug toxicity. His body was shutting down from the pharmaceutical cocktail in his system. In the hospital room, his girlfriend at the time sat beside him. Elvis, you scared everyone. Maybe this is a sign you need to slow down. Take a break. Get some help. Help with what? Elvis's voice was weak but defiant. I have the best doctors in the country. I'm being treated by professionals. But the amount you're taking is prescribed. All prescribed. Every single pill has a doctor's name on it. He reached for the badge on his nightstand. He'd had someone bring it to the hospital. Do you know what this is? This is proof that I'm on the right side. I'm fighting drugs, not using them. Elvis, she started crying. You're killing yourself. No, he closed his eyes. I'm sacrificing myself for my country, for my mission. Federal agents have to make sacrifices. A nurse came in to give him medication, more pills. He took them without question, medicine from doctors, safe, legal, necessary. In 1975, during the Cadillac giveaway night, when Elvis gave away 14 cars to strangers, he had the federal badge pinned inside his jacket. When he gave away the cars, high on Dexedrine and Demerol, he told several recipients, I'm supposed to fight drugs as a federal agent. But you know what? Helping people, giving them hope, that's the best way to fight drugs. Give people something to live for and they won't need drugs. The words were beautiful. The irony was devastating. He was giving away cars while high on enough medication to hospitalize most people. By 1976, Elvis could barely perform. He'd forget lyrics mid-song, slur his words, stumble on stage. His weight had ballooned to over 250 pounds. His face was unrecognizable from his younger years, puffy, sweating, the eyes hidden behind increasingly dark sunglasses. But he still carried that badge, still showed it to people, still believed it proved something important about who he was. December 1976. Vernon finally confronted him directly. Son, you're dying. You need real help, rehab treatment, something. I don't have a drug problem, Elvis screamed, his face purple with rage. I'm a federal agent. I'm fighting drugs. How dare you? He pulled out the badge, thrust it in his father's face. Would the president give this to a drug addict? Would he? Vernon looked at the badge, then at his son, this bloated, sick, delusional man who used to be his beautiful boy. Son, that badge, it's not real. It's honorary. It doesn't mean, get out of my house. Elvis threw the badge at the wall. It clattered to the floor. Then he broke down, crying, collapsing to his knees. Vernon rushed to help him, but Elvis pushed him away. Leave me alone, Elvis sobbed. Just leave me alone. Nobody understands. Nobody sees what I'm trying to do. Vernon left the room, tears streaming down his face. His son was dying, and there was nothing, absolutely nothing, he could do to stop it. The badge lay on the floor, its eagle emblem glinting in the light, meaningless metal that meant everything to a dying man. August 16, 1977. The end. Elvis was found dead on his bathroom floor. The autopsy revealed 14 drugs in his system, not illegal drugs, prescription medications, all legal, all prescribed by doctors, all killing him. When investigators cataloged his effects, they found the federal badge in a special display case in his bedroom, positioned prominently, lit by a spotlight. Elvis died believing he was a federal agent fighting drugs, never understanding he was the victim of the very thing he claimed to fight. The autopsy report. The toxicology revealed codeine, 10 times therapeutic level, morphine, chlorpheniramine, diazepam, ethchlorvinol, ethinamate, meperidine, methaqualone, pentobarbital, phenobarbital, secobarbital, amobarbital, butabarbital. 14 drugs, all legal, all prescribed, all deadly when combined. Dr. Eric Muirhead, who performed the autopsy. Elvis's death was classic polypharmacy, multiple drugs from multiple doctors, none coordinating. Because they were legal prescriptions, everyone convinced themselves it was okay. In 1980, Dr. George Nicopolis went on trial. In Elvis's last 20 months, Dr. Nick prescribed over 10,000 doses of various drugs. The defense: Elvis was in pain. I was helping him. The jury acquitted him, though he later lost his medical license. Everyone involved thought they were helping. That was the tragedy. Today, that photo's iconic. Most people think it's funny. Elvis in his crazy outfit, Nixon looking awkward. But those who know the full story see tragedy. A man so desperate for validation that he sought it from the president. A man so deluded about his addiction that he wanted to fight the thing destroying him. The photographer later said, "In my professional opinion, Elvis was high as a kite during that meeting. He was sweating, shaking, talking very fast, but in 1970, we didn't understand prescription drug abuse." Years later, Elvis's daughter said, "My father genuinely believed he was fighting drugs." The badge gave him permission to continue his denial. He'd show it to me. "See, baby? Daddy's doing important work." If someone had just said, "Elvis, you're not a federal agent, you're a drug addict who needs help," maybe he'd have gotten angry enough to seek treatment, but everyone enabled him. Elvis was right about one thing. There was a drug epidemic destroying America. He just couldn't see he was part of it, not fighting it. He wanted to fight street drugs while being killed by prescription drugs that were just as deadly. He saw the problem everywhere except in his own medicine cabinet. And that badge, that meaningless honorary badge, convinced him he was on the right side of the fight, even as the fight was killing him. The badge is displayed at Graceland today. Tour guides tell the story. Elvis met Nixon, got a badge, wanted to help fight drugs. They don't usually mention Elvis was high during the meeting. They don't talk about the thousands of pills. They don't discuss the tragic irony. But if you look closely at that badge, knowing the full story, you're looking at one of the saddest artifacts in American history. It's a badge that meant everything to Elvis and nothing to anyone else. It's proof that you can fool yourself about the thing that's killing you. The federal badge didn't kill Elvis, but it helped him kill himself. Elvis's story leaves us with this. How many people are living this story right now? How many are taking prescriptions, convinced it's not addiction because a doctor prescribed it? How many have enablers too afraid to speak up? How many are carrying their own badge, some validation that lets them believe their drug use is okay? Elvis's story isn't just about Elvis. It's about how addiction works, how denial works, how systems fail. The king wanted to fight drugs, but the drugs had already won. Which city are you watching from? Drop your location in the comments below. Now, we want to hear from you. Do you think prescription drug addiction is taken as seriously as illegal drug addiction? How would Elvis's story be different today? Can someone fight a problem they don't recognize in themselves? Share your thoughts in the comments. If this story moved you, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to Faces Behind Stories for more incredible stories about Elvis Presley, the tragic irony of fame, and the hidden darkness behind the king. Hit the notification bell so you never miss our next story.